Welcome to Safe Skies with Lia Tuso, the ultimate podcast about flying with kids. I'm your host, Lia, a child passenger safety technician, frequent flyer mom, and passionate advocate for making travel safer and less stressful for families. Whether you're flying with a newborn, navigating TSA with toddlers, or wondering how the heck to fly with a car seat, this is a place to learn expert tips, professional recommendations, and gain the confidence you need to travel with your little ones. The seatbelt sign is on, so buckle up and join me for takeoff while we explore more about flying with child passengers. Welcome to another podcast, Safe Skies with Lia Tuso. I'm your host, Lia, and today we're going to be discussing something that I think is really anxiety-inducing when we travel, and that is going through TSA security with kids. And I'm going to walk you through all of the logistics so you can feel confidently the next time you're at the airport and you have to go through the screening process. So first, I want to clarify, what does TSA consider as a child, okay? On their website, TSA very clearly states that they consider children to be anyone who appears 12 years old or younger. Okay, so when I'm talking about bringing food and stuff through TSA for children, I'm not just talking about babies and toddlers. I'm talking about 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 12 years old. Which is really important to know because you think, oh, well, my baby's not an infant anymore. I can't bring food through, but that's not the case. And if your child is over age 13 or appears to be over the age of 13, then they are subject to regular TSA screening process that you and I would be subjected to as an adult. So when we're going through TSA, the first most important thing is to have a game plan before you step into the TSA line. Nobody likes a traveler or a travel family that is like super disorganized, taking their time, not sure what to do. That's just like a travel faux pas. So if you can avoid that, please do so by talking to your partner, your travel partner, or perhaps talk to yourself if you're traveling solo as a solo parent. Have a game plan before you step into that line. For example, when Anthony and I are traveling, I will designate roles to Anthony. Anthony, you're in charge of removing Santino from the stroller and folding the stroller. I will be in charge of getting the carry-on suitcases, getting the diaper bag up onto the conveyor belt or the car seat onto the conveyor belt. So we have like our designated tasks so we can move through the TSA line more efficiently. The other thing to consider is whether or not you want to invest in TSA PreCheck or something like Clear to help smooth the process up a little bit. And that will really depend on how often you travel and if that is feasible for your family or makes sense for you. But having TSA PreCheck can really be a game changer, especially if you are traveling frequently, just to help get through that security line faster and smoother because you don't have to take off your shoes, all the jackets and stuff. And so let's talk about getting your stroller through. So if your stroller, and I'll say, and your car seat, if your stroller and your car seat will fit through the x-ray machine on the conveyor belt, they usually prefer that you put it on the conveyor belt so it can be screened through the x-ray machine. If you have a stroller that doesn't fold up or a car seat that's too big to fit through the x-ray machine, they will walk it through and do a visual inspection of it. So it depends on what kind of product you have and really which airport you're flying through. Smaller airports tend to have like smaller conveyor belt systems with smaller x-ray machines. But for the most part, strollers are pretty foldable now. So you can try to stick it on the conveyor belt and avoid that issue. Like I said, otherwise they'll just do a visual inspection like they would a wheelchair. You kind of walk it to them and then they bring it through, I'll call it the point of no return. Like when you have to go through, physically walk through the x-ray machine, they kind of like bring it to the side there. So that's your stroller and your car seat. Now, baby wearing. Let's talk about baby wearing. TSA does permit infants to be walked through the x-ray machine while in a baby wrap or baby carrier. So you do not need to remove your infant from the baby carrier or baby wrap prior to walking through the x-ray machine. If you choose, for example, if the TSA agent says, "Hey, can you take your baby out of the baby wrap or baby carrier?" You have a right to say, "No, TSA allows me to walk through." You will be subjected to additional screening. So they will, on the other side of the x-ray machine, stop you and do further screening. So I would suggest, if the TSA agent asks you to remove your baby from the carrier, just go ahead and do it. Save yourself the problems. Put the carrier on the conveyor belt and just walk through the machine holding your infant. But that is really important to know, because you do have a right to walk through an x-ray machine while your baby is in the baby carrier. And then let's talk about food and breast milk and formula. Children's food, not just baby and toddlers, children's food, breast milk and formula are permitted to be permitted through TSA screening in reasonable quantities, greater than that 3.4-ounce rule that we always are fearful of. So you can have a baby food pouch that's greater than 3.4 ounces, and it's no problem. I don't want you to stress out about that. What you should do before you put it on the conveyor belt and send it through the x-ray machine is, if you're traveling with baby food, formula, breast milk, notify the TSA agent so they expect it to show up on their screen when it goes through the x-ray machine. If they don't know to expect it, they might flag it for a secondary inspection. They might give you a secondary inspection anyway. So they'll you get at the end of the line, and then they pull your bag aside and they take you to the computer at the end of the line, and they have to do a secondary inspection. This is when they take a swab to the exterior of your baby food or baby bottles to make sure there's no traces of explosive devices or what else they do. And when this happens, if this happens to you, you can very kindly ask the TSA agent, "Hey, I don't want my baby to get sick. Would you mind putting on fresh gloves before you touch his baby bottles?" You can ask that, and it doesn't hurt to ask. If you're worried about where that TSA agent's gloves have been before your baby food, go ahead, ask for fresh gloves. For the most part, if you ask kindly, it will be well received, and they're happy to do so. Nobody wants to intentionally get a baby sick. So that is the secondary inspection. Now, when we're talking about what is a child and what type of foods you can bring through, one important thing to know is that on TSA's website, they do say if you are traveling with ice packs, they do need to be completely frozen, not thawed, not slushy. So if you're traveling with breast milk in a cooler, be sure that your ice packs are completely frozen. Otherwise, save yourself the trouble of that situation and dealing with a TSA agent. Most of the time, the agents are wonderful and they're there to help, and they just want to keep everybody safe, and they're happy to talk to you if you have questions or whatever. I mean, it's just, it can be an easy situation if you go in confidently, if you go in knowing your rights, and you go in with a game plan. When there is confrontation, it's usually because the TSA agent doesn't even know their own rules and regulations. And so if you're worried about getting into that type of situation, have the page pulled up. TSA.gov has literally all of the information that you could ever possibly need. You can search, can I bring, name product through TSA, and they have it. Their Instagram is hilarious too. If you're not following them on Instagram or wherever their social medias are, go ahead and do it, because it's funny. They have one of the best marketing teams. It's really a funny time. So anyway, the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about and tell you about is something called TSA Cares. So if you haven't heard of TSA Cares, it is a program that is provided by TSA, and the intention is to help caregivers or individuals who need assistance walk through the screening process. Okay? They don't walk you from the TSA screening to your gate, but they can help walk you from the point of entry to TSA screening to your exit at TSA screening, which can be very, very helpful if you are a solo parent traveling with, 3 kids in 3 car seats. And you go on their website, you can request for assistance, and then if they have the capacity, they will help you. They do prioritize always those who have medical conditions or medical or behavioral needs that need physically need assistance more than, you know, me traveling with my 3-year-old son. And so that is something to know. But if they have the capacity, they're happy to do it. They also have a PSS program, and totally escaping what that stands for, but it's like personal security something assistance. And that's, where they designate one individual TSA agent to like help you carry your stuff through and put stuff on the conveyor belt and kind of just hold your hand through the process. So that's really important to know that resource is available. And again, it's right on TSA's website. If you are traveling by yourself with multiple children, I always encourage caregivers to take advantage of this. If they're available, they will help you out, because TSA screening with multiple kids by yourself, multiple car seats, stroller, luggage, all the things, it can be overwhelming. And of course, TSA always wants to make the process go as smoothly as possible, not just for you, but for the people behind you as well. So they want to keep it moving. They want to keep it fluid. And so they're happy to help in those types of situations where they can and when they can. But it is important to, ask for help before you travel, reserve help before you go. If you get to the airport at TSA and you're like, oh, can you help me walk through the line? So they're likely going to say no, because they're already assigned to a very specific task on their shift that day. So just prepare ahead for that. When we're talking about food, snacks, baby food pouches, and fruit, I love bringing fruit through TSA security. And honestly, I feel like this is so underrated. Cut up strawberries, bring blueberries, bananas, apples for your child. Pack a lunchbox for the flight. You just pack a lunchbox. Don't spend money on super expensive airport food or rely on the little pretzels and nuts that you get on the airplane. Pack a wholesome lunch for your child and bring it with you. You're allowed to do that. Again, in reasonable quantities. You cannot walk through TSA with 4 cartons of 100 oranges each. They're going to say, what are you doing, lady? Something else and something fishy is going on here. But if you have a little lunchbox and a water bottle, you can bring a water bottle with water in it through TSA for your toddler or your child. So that's really important to know. And I know a lot of moms prefer to have like their filtered water from home versus, relying on the tap water at the airport or the water bottles on the airplane. So if you're traveling with a toddler, yes, bring your, their little Stanley cup or their little thermos water bottle and put water in it before you leave your house. You can bring it through TSA. Again, all you need to do is tell the agent that, hey, my son, my toddler, my child has a full water bottle in this bag. They ask, if it's possible, put all of the food in one place or in a plastic Ziploc bag, just so they have easy access to it. So we don't want to put granola bars in one pouch and in one bag and stuffed in another luggage, and where it's going to be like, lady, why do I have to sift through 3 bags and 4 boxes and little containers to find this one granola bar? Just have it accessible. That's all you need to do. So if you have your water bottle, your baby bottles, breast milk, formula, toddler pouches, baby foods, fresh fruits, just put them in a Ziploc bag and then stick them right in on top of the backpack. Just make it easy. The easier you make it for them, the happier that they'll be, and the more likely they are to assist you with kindness. So there you go. Again, all of this information is right on TSA's website. It's easy to access. It's easy to research. Don't bother going to the Facebook groups. It's just right there at the source. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm so happy to answer as always. And stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks for being here.